Okay, you've seen me using some of these tools before, the Dewalt cordless with the 18 volt. And how I started out on these, I think the drill and the saw with a charger and two batteries were in a set for a little over $100. And then after that, I bought individual tools. You can buy the bare tool without the battery, without the charger, just the tool. And they were about $100 a piece. Now I've had these for a couple of years, and I use them all the time. I'd have to say the two saws are relatively hard on batteries. They'll, like if you're cutting half-inch plywood or something, they'll run down the battery fairly fast. Grinder works really well. That impressed me. I mean, I can sharpen a whole motorcycle on one battery. And of course, the drill, I mean, you can't hardly beat them. But the tool that really impressed me is this half-inch impact. And I've never shown using it. I always intended to. Well, I got a job to do today, which I will use this impact for. And I'll show you why I think this is such a good tool. I use that impact to change the cutting edges on the regular blade. And you're talking, a hell of a lot of bolts this size. And I can do that on one battery charge. I take them all loose, rotate the blades, put them all back on with one charge of the battery, and it actually gets them tighter than what my air impact will. But today what I'm going to be doing is the cutting edge on the wing. Now you can see the new one is laying down below there, that big hunk of steel. But one of them will usually last me like 3 years. I think this one's probably been on 3 years. Depending on what we got for snow. Now, these things have been on here, sitting rusting for like 3 years. But this thing has no trouble getting them out of there. And some of them are kind of boogered up even. But we're going to be replacing all the bolts. But you can see, it's a pretty good sized bolt. Just got to tighten it down. Now I can get her up in the air a little. Work close to the ground when I'm taking off and putting the old one on, or taking off the old one and putting the new one on. And then once you get her up in the air, I can tighten her better. I'm glad I don't have to do this more than every like 3 or 4 years. It's a big hunk of steel. That's all I can do to lift one end of her, so it's a kind of a delicate juggling operation. And it's like $350. But it'll be good for a while. And knock the top off the pocket poker mount. This is what I was talking about. I'm still on my same battery, and I've got the other one in the charger, and it's charged already. But like I say, I can normally change, like rotate my cutting edges on one battery. Works fine, and it gets them tighter than I can get with my air impact. And that's all I ask. Plus, it's really portable. So they're a good tool. If you have one of these, you find yourself using it way more than you would expect. And another thing I'll mention, like I said, the thing is much stronger than you'd expect. When we go to mount this wing, it's a big, awkward contraption. It's all a tractor can do to hold it up. And we tried one time with a skid steer, it was actually tipping the skid steer. But when we get it into place, we use the impact to run these 4 main bolts in that hold it. And I've got an adapter that goes from 1/2 to 3/4, so you can use these bigger sockets. Now I'm sure this would void all kinds of warranties, but I'll tell you, this unit will drive them. You know, I have to get on there with a breaker bar afterwards and tighten them down, but when you got this thing hanging in an awkward place, to be able to get them started and snug them down, with this tool, it's very, very handy. Okay, one other thing these impacts really excel at is running in lag bolts. Now I built this rack to hold our road close signs, and I just lag bolted it in. And I tell you, you can't beat that impact for working on lag bolts. So for like building pole barns or anything like that, I mean there's many uses for those impacts. And this particular one works very well.